Well, the House of Representatives today voted to pass Kate's Law. It's a bill that, if enacted, would stiffen penalties for deported illegal aliens who re-enter the United States, as so many do. The House also passed a bill that would cut off federal grants to sanctuary cities. Marian Mendoza is the mother of Sergeant Brandon Mendoza, who was a police officer killed by a previously deported illegal alien. She joins us tonight. Marian, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Does this bill do what you want it to do?
It's beginning, and absolutely. More light needs to be shed on this problem in our country, and I think more Americans need to be educated of what's really happening behind the scenes. Politicians lie. Mainstream media does not give the correct statistics of what's happening to American citizens in our country.
What do politicians lie about?
They lie about the fact that people like myself are anti-immigrants, which is the furthest thing from the truth. I am anti-illegal alien criminals in our country.
Yes.
I'm tired of our politicians. I don't know when the turn happened in this country of when politicians are now protecting illegal criminals in our country more than they're protecting you and I.
So the man who killed your son had been deported before?
He'd been deported. He had been convicted of crimes in the state of Colorado. He didn't show up for his court date. He was on the run, was caught at the border in 2012, taken back up to Colorado. The court showed him leniency and let him go, and, 12 years later, he killed my son.
So he was not deported the second time?
No, he was not.
Even though he was never in the country illegally?
Correct.
Huh.
So this is what's so maddening to me, and the leniency that our court systems are showing illegal criminals. Most of the time, their felonies are reduced to misdemeanors. They spend half the time in jail that you or I would for the same crimes that they commit. They're released back out onto our streets. They run to sanctuary cities because they know that they're protected. It's time that our politicians and that the American public is aware of the fact what's happening in our court systems, what our politicians are hiding, and we are here to be truth tellers. We've started aviac.us. It's advocates for victims of illegal alien crime. We want to bring to light not only the murders of Americans, but people who are affected by rape, assault, identity theft. We want Americans to come out of the shadows and let their fellow Americans know what's happening to them.
Well, you've begun that. So thank you very much, Marian, for joining us tonight. Alex Narasto works at the Cato Institute. He opposes this law. He joins us tonight. So, Alex, you heard the conversation we just had with the mother of a man killed by someone here illegally who was deported, came back, was not deported a second time for some reason. Why in the world would you oppose a law that would deter a tragedy like that?
Well, the law, as it's written right now, is in response to the other murder of Kate Steinle. That's the law that it's named after. And if you look at the details of a lot of these cases, I can't speak to that poor woman's case that you just had on right now. But in the case of Kate Steinle in San Francisco, who was murdered by an illegal immigrant, this law would not have done anything to prevent that woman's murder. The murderer in that case, a legal immigrant by the name of Lopez Sanchez, had already spent 15 years in federal prison for violating U.S. immigration laws by itself. That's about the maximum penalty, near the maximum penalty that will be in this new law if it actually goes onto the books. So it's really unclear how this new law is actually going to prevent these types of tragedies happening in the future. Well, because
if someone gets out of prison and remains illegal in his status, he will be deported. And then if he comes back, he will go to prison again. So the principle is pretty clear. We're going to enforce our laws. And why wouldn't we? What's the argument against enforcing our laws?
That's already on the books right now. The big problem with the Kate Steinle and a lot of these other cases is that you have usually a bureaucratic snafu. In the case of Kate Steinle, this illegal immigrant was sent to San Francisco for a $20 marijuana charge that was 15 or 20 years old that the city doesn't even prosecute anymore. The city held him for 3 weeks before releasing him. ICE could have picked him up if they had issued a warrant to do so, but they didn't do so. So this is just a big problem with our immigration enforcement system. This is not because of mandatory. No, this is not because of maximum laws. It has nothing to do with that.
You've done a marvelous job of illustrating the problem, which is we don't take it seriously. And there are all kinds of people who are clearly a threat to civic order, and because they have a questionable immigration status, they're granted some sort of, holy status where you can't mess with them because they're a protected group. And this law starts to move that trend in the other direction.
It was the exact opposite in this case. They wanted to make sure they convicted him of every possible crime he was guilty of in the United States. They overreached by taking a look at crimes that weren't even being enforced anymore in California.
And then he wound up with a gun in Fisherman's Wharf and killed a girl who did nothing wrong. Yeah, I got that. So the point is, the federal government had an obligation to make sure this guy wasn't in our country. They didn't. He killed a girl, and here we are. So I guess I want to know...
And more laws and more bureaucracy is not going to fix that kind of problem. This would put 60,000 people in jail for an average of 15 years at enormous cost. The thing would be to focus our laws on enforcing it against violent and property criminals. We want to enforce the law against violent and property criminals and not waste federal resources on people, most of whom are these illegal immigrants, have not committed any violent and property crime. Why do you want to waste federal resources on people who haven't... Wait. Why do you want to waste more resources on people who haven't committed a violent and property crime?
Well, let me say, Alex, that I don't.
That's going to cause more death and destruction.
If you let me speak, I don't accept your premise that it's a waste of federal funds to enforce federal law. That's the whole freaking point. And so if you don't want to enforce federal law, you want to have open borders, just say so. But to say it's somehow irresponsible to enforce a law on the books is insane, if I can say.
The point of the law is to save American lives, to prevent murders and crimes that actually hurt people, like that poor woman that you have on, not to punish people for violating labor market regulations. Every dollar you spend on putting an illegal immigrant in jail, every dollar you spend putting an illegal immigrant in jail for a non-violent and non-property crime is a dollar that could be spent on a real criminal. You're wasting
but somehow,
dollars.
We were too mean to the guy who killed Kate Steinle for bothering with some weed violation. We let him out and then he killed the girl. Right. Okay, I get it. You're not into borders.
No, that's
fine,
not what I'm
but
saying,
you should just
Tucker.
say it.
If you want, what we should do is focus our resources on people who actually want to hurt people,
like we've
not
been
on
doing.
labor.
All right. We're out of time. Sorry.